Hey everyone, and welcome to the conclusion of the second round chase card footage from the 2017 Utah Open. Big Julie commentary coming back out. Yeah, it's Jeremy Koling joined by Paul Ulibarri. And we got a good start here for Drew Gibson. 4 under through 9 holes, and a couple players at even, and AJ Risley at 4 over. Hole 10, really technical shot for how straightforward it is.
Yeah, you got a triple mando here that you have to navigate through, and with the basket on the right. So your traditional play is going to be the sidearm. Try to skip it off this little traditional ball golf tee, or you could throw backhand through there and hit the fence. But yeah. The shot that Drew's trying to play there is so technical and so hard that I'm sure that he's actually okay with where he ended up.
Yeah, the limited amount of height that you get off the tee really makes it tricky to, that is almost perfect. To be able to get that height, that's how you get all the way around, but that's a scary shot. But yeah, the height that you're given makes it really difficult for a backhand player to get any sort of turn and get towards a pin. So a lot of players who throw backhand are just going to end up throwing a straight shot, make the mandatory, and maybe try to make a long putt.
Yeah, and Dana showing his power with the sidearm, trimming the trees.
Right through the trees. Makes it a little bit easier for the lead card.
Yeah, appreciate that, Dana.
AJ with a nice little approach there. Unfortunately, caught a little bit too much cabbage off the tee. And Drew tried to keep things going from about 60 feet.
Yeah, he's drawing metal everywhere, and
there again
stays true to form right there.
Yeah, he's all over it. He's ready to bust through those doors and shoot a good one.
Yeah, he's due to make a long putt.
And Dana started to chase it in. He thought he maybe had a good 50-foot putt, just a little bit left.
And Dustin with the best drive of the group, really challenging the top of the triple mando, and just, he threw a pretty good putt there, just barely missed. I mean,
for a hole that's only got, the triple mando really makes you go, a weird route at the hole, but for being 285 feet, this grass is just Velcro. You don't get skips unless you hit that tee area that you're talking about, the golf tee. There's also a sidewalk that runs through, and if you don't hit that sidewalk or the golf tee, you're not skipping.
No.
The really only way to get to the pin is to be able to do what Dustin did, go high and try to air it, kind of a nose-up stall hyzer sidearm, or just throw it with a lot of speed, and hopefully you get a little bit of skip off that thick grass.
Yeah, there's no surprise when there's just either one birdie on the card from a long putt, or to see this straight pars across the board.
Par sweep across the board there. But yeah, so that's for hole 10. Hole 11, again, we have another mandatory. This is the first of 2 consecutive holes that go along this driving range fence. That one big tree that really forces you to pick your route here. Are you going to go left side, try to go through the little tunnel early, or if you're going to try to challenge the fence and that little bit of space you have between the tree line and the fence? And it looks like Drew didn't quite make his decision.
No, but that's the thing. You don't make the decision, and you can still kind of split those pine trees, and those pine trees are only about 60 to 50 feet, so it's a makeable putt. It really is.
Yeah, if you punch through like he did, he went through a little bit. He's probably got 48 feet or so left, and Dustin with a nice little shot, he'll probably be about 28 feet away.
Yeah, and again, those cart paths are not out of bounds or not in play for...
Yeah, in previous years, those cart paths were actually out of bounds unless you were inside the circle. And Dana going for the traditional bounce it off the fence to inside the circle route. Sometimes you can't really rely on those fences to bounce you off, because what they'll do is they'll collect it and you'll end up hitting the pole. But AJ, man, that was such a good line, just a little bit too much speed. He probably went with a fairway driver there. Don't know what he's throwing there, but...
And Drew's due to make one of these. He's drawing metal, like you said, from everywhere.
Oh, gosh, he's just like, come on. When's it going to happen? And AJ really needs this as well. He's had a couple putts from this range that end up going past OB. And there again, he's just a little bit off. And
yeah, it's good to see AJ really, he is missing, but he's giving it a chance. He's not... You can tell he's not being tentative, and you just have rounds like that sometimes. So
right.
That's how you stay confident, is to do exactly what he's doing. And Dustin's just a little bit off so far the whole round. You know, if it's not his putt, it's his drive being barely out of bounds. So.
Oh, and AJ got to avoid the danger of the air ball from 33 and ends up making the putt. I'm just going to go see you guys on hole 12.
Yep. I'm taking a lap. Out of there. I'm taking a lap.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good because you don't want to have those 3 putts really hurt. I mean, there's so many things that can bite you on this course. One thing you want to avoid is being the cause on the green. You know, 3 putting is just a nightmare out here.
Yeah, on the previous hole, 4 pars is okay. On this hole, not so much. You really want to pick up this one. At least, you know, you're going to see at least 2 to 3 birdies on this hole per card for the whole entire field. So that's a surprise. Yeah, we're kind of coming into a birdie stretch here where this is the hardest hole of the par 3s really remaining with this, you know, the introduction of the trees and the fence line, and there's a mandatory that keeps you right. But you really want to pick up your birdies coming into the end of your round right about here with the triple mando and the mando on the hole before. Yeah, this is just a really, really good disc golf hole. Right. It really makes you have to be precise with your shot, and Drew just barely catching a limb there. I mean, he was just a little bit high, a little lower, and he's, you know, 4 to 5 feet. And you can see from that reverse angle that little tiny hole that you have on the right side. That is basically that's the challenge, is hitting that gap, pushing the fence line without hitting it. It's a really, really technical shot. And hats off to Jade and the staff for listening to player feedback, because this hole the year before was just under 500 feet, but they called it a par 3, and it was a hole that almost everyone three'd, no one two'd, and it was what we call a tweener hole, and it wasn't really that great of a golf separation hole. This is a great golf separation hole. If you throw a great shot like AJ did there, you're getting a stroke, and you know, you earned that stroke. You're being rewarded for throwing a good throw. And a lot of good throws that were thrown last year from the longer tee pad weren't rewarded because you'd still end up about where Drew is here. And finally not drawing metal from 4,000 feet away. He throws his hands up in disgust. And look, there's Dustin. He's like, all right, I can do this. He's just so calm. I love his demeanor. I don't know, he's rubbing carrot oils out of his hand because he usually snacks on carrots throughout the round, but good to see him finally convert on a long putt. Dana. With the fist pump, you could tell he really wanted that one, and he started moving towards the basket as soon as it released his hand. So it's good to see him make that. And that's just such a good drive from AJ. I mean, we can't tell you how hard that and difficult that hole is to get that close, and the gratification. Oh, he's pointing to the Grizzly. AJ Risley pointing to the Grizzly. He said, "This is my hole." So nice reward there. And I was going to say that his tee shot gave him a stroke, but somehow they missed the 2 easy ones, and then they got 3 birdies on one of the hardest par 3s in the course. That's funny. Good putting there, and a nice drive from AJ. Hole 13, they moved this one up a bit from last year as well to make it a little bit more of a par 3. Again, I don't think it's quite 524. I think it's closer to that 475 range. I think it's always playing with a left to right crosswind. It just wants to take you right into that water. And I think that it possibly is a slightly downhill hole. I agree with that. Or they just got the distance completely wrong, because I agree. I don't think it's 500. It doesn't play that far. No. Yeah. And it's an attackable distance for this range. I mean, Dustin has a good bit of power, but he's not a player who's throwing a soft line. Like, that wasn't like a full throw, and he got it just at the edge of the circle. Yep. And that was not a 490-foot throw on his behalf. And Dana really laying into one right here. And I think that's probably about as far as he's going to be able to throw. Maybe. I'm not going to say that. That's you saying that, not me. Oh, now you're throwing me under the bus. Sorry, Dana. But it looked to me like he really got into that one, and that was a good shot. Yeah, it was a committed throw with probably a stable disc that he could trust putting some anhyzer on it, knowing that if he put it on the ante, he's going to stay away from the water, but it was also going to hyzer back towards the green. Absolutely. That was a good controlled power shot. And Drew's route's over. Oh, no, he doesn't go over the mountain this time. No. Just right at the mountain.
And if it doesn't slow down, it's going to hit the mountain. But it did slow down. So he'll have a circle's edge putt for his second consecutive birdie on this hole. Actually, third if you want to go to the last round the previous year. This has been Drew Gibson's hole in the past. And AJ just didn't really want to introduce too much danger, but man, that's leaving a little bit too much meat on the bone. You know, those 26 footers really add up over a course of a round.
Yeah, he's really having to work for what he is getting in this round. I mean, he's definitely, this round isn't coming easy to him.
That's a beautiful shot here. And look at that, Drew Gibson converting on the Drew Gibson hole, earning the SloMez. His putt just barely goes over the mountains, straight into the basket.
And he grabs his mini with authority because you could tell he really wanted that. And
he's just thinking to himself, about time. Just let me in.
And Dustin just made one of these, so I expect this to be pretty close, if not in, and it's in.
Solid stroke there.
He's like, man, these outside the circle putts are so easy.
Yeah, it's the inside the circle that are tough.
I'm just going to throw it outside the circle and just make it every time.
And this is AJ to clean up his par. And a good stroke there. That's a good confident. You can really see, you can tell when someone's thinking that this is for par. Like if I miss this is a bogey. You can tell that stroke is not quite as confident. He just stepped up there, and that was just a routine traditional tap-in for him, which is kind of hard to say because 26 feet, especially with these greens, is never really a tap-in, but he made it look really easy.
Right.
So two good pars. Not sure what AJ's doing here besides maybe trying to adjust the bolts on the top of the basket.
Yeah, is he trying to get in our heads?
I think he is. Hole 14, this is the third shortest hole in the course, and it is a really, really tricky one. Just because it's short doesn't mean it doesn't have its fair share of challenges. We've got a pretty strong left to right today, and it's going to make it tough to throw that sidearm up in the air and try to hit on that hillside. Anything that hits that hill is probably going to get pushed all the way down to the keen fence on the right, and if it's in the air too much, it could go out of bounds.
Yeah, Dustin puts this one pretty high, but it looks like he might be about circle's edge, if not in maybe 4 feet in the circle, and that's going to be a scary putt. Yeah,
no matter where you put this, unless you are within 10 feet, this is going to be a scary putt. And Drew's trying to make the adjustment. Yesterday, he went over the wall, OBing. It looks like he might even spiked on top of Dustin's disc there. It just had no ground play whatsoever.
Yeah, they're going to have a putt off right there.
Right.
And Dana going with the backhand turnover, and I actually really do like that play because it'll grab on the hillside if you have the right amount of touch on there, and he just went a little long. Otherwise, it was a pretty good shot. I expect him to draw medal from there, if not make it.
Yeah, then I think if you do have a good backhand turnover putter game, that is the preferable shot, just because it will grab that hill, like you said, and the sidearm really can't grab that hill unless you absolutely throw it perfect. It needs to sit down. And that's one of those few times that you get rewarded for being aggressive and missing. And it's a solid stroke there. Drew really took his time. I was watching this shot and saw him. He was lining this one up for a good while, and he knew how important this putt was, or he knows how important this putt is. And he stepped up and did his thing and nailed it.
Yeah, it's good to see his confidence.
Oh, great putt there from Dana. Again, any missed putt from the bottom of the hill up to this mound, you're really pushing your luck with the bunker behind it. So it really tests your nerves. And AJ, that needs to sit. I see a little bit of roll. Looks like he did get lucky, in fact. He's not happy about it, but
no.
He should count his blessings, though, because a couple more flutter rolls, that I think would have been in the bunker, and he'd be tapping in for 4.
Yeah, and that's just unfortunate. I mean, he had a real makeable putt there, and he just, he probably missed by less than 2 inches, honestly.
Right. And sometimes those really wide putts just catch that one chain and bring it in. So it's hard to tell the exact science on where it's got to exactly go. And onto the Mill Dog hole. This has got to be one of the 2 or 3 signature holes in the course. I mean, it's just such a interesting dynamic with the tee shot being over that hillside that you can't quite tell in the drone footage, but that hillside really, really plays tricks on your depth perception, on your landing zone. And it also really challenges the player to see how much they want to bite off. And Drew is going big.
Yeah, he bit off the whole thing.
Right. And that needs to sit down. Oh my goodness. He is safe.
He is safe.
On the downslope. And that's a huge break there, because not only is he getting the extra 150 feet from where the drop zone is, he's actually saving that stroke as well. And that is not getting a break, or is it?
If he didn't, that's unfortunate, because Dana actually threw the correct shot there. He threw a nice soft turnover, and that thing is supposed to land soft on the...
And the spotter says, I'm not going to make that call here. That's up to you guys. So we'll see when we get up there.
And hats off to the spotter there to not throw up a green or not throw up a red, to just say, you know what, I don't know. This one's up to you guys.
And you can't see it here, but Dustin spikes in a couple inches above the water line, and he's going to have a very interesting lie on his next shot.
And that needs to get up.
If that hits the hillside, oh, wow, there's the green flag you want to see. Wow. So there you go. You can see that's where Dustin's drive landed. And he, that's AJ's.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, this whole card is really living on the edge.
I mean, they're collective 2 feet from OB with the whole card.
Yep.
That's you never see that. And all of them got the green flag break, which is a really big deal. Because you really didn't. And there you go. Look at that. And where that land juts out. 1 foot longer, 1 foot shorter, or 6 inches longer, 6 inches shorter, and he is OB every time.
Yep.
That's an incredible break. Let's see if he can capitalize with a good approach here.
Man, this is a smart shot by him. He's taking the sidearm. He's taking it wide, because if he doesn't commit on that, he's still going to carry land, and he'll still make distance up there, and at worst take bogey. If he tries the backhand right there with the awkward heel stance, the disc could go anywhere. So,
yeah, I've always found that if you're on a hillside, whether it's up, down, left slope, right slope, whatever, it's a much easier stance to stand still with a sidearm and approach, as opposed to doing any sort of run up whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little pro tip right there.
And the group did indeed call Dana's shot inbounds. So we have 4 inbound shots, once again, all within 2 inches from being OB. And so par or birdie, they're all going to be happy with their score here. You have to take whatever your score is with a grain of salt, just considering how much luck came into play there with those tee shots. Could have hit a different blade of grass and gone OB. And, oh no, Drew just barely missing his putt. He's putted out of bounds. He's probably not happy about the fact that his tee shot was in bounds at this point. And Dana can't quite convert there either, just a bit high. Let's see if Dustin can get his birdie. And a solid putt there from Dustin. What a strange way to card your birdie there. Just really living on the edge. Nice approach there, and made a solid putt.
Yeah, that was a good putt by him. One of those test terrains, but you really want to make those to keep your round going. And Drew firing that one in.
Not too happy about his bogey. Obviously missing putt's bad, but that insult to injury of putting your disc into the water that's a tough one.
Yep.
And surprised that we've only seen it twice now, with AJ on hole 5 and now Drew on hole 15. But Drew's still doing well, 5 down.
Yep.
He's under par, a good bit under par, and heading to the final 3 holes here. This hole really challenges your game plan. You have to make a decision from the beginning. Am I going for this, or am I going to lay up short and try to make a long putt?
Right, it's a real skinny green up there, but for some reason it's so inviting from the tee pad. You just think, well, if I just throw this with power, I'm gonna at least skip through the bunker and get to the green. But it's a well designed hole, and Dustin actually.
Oh, he's out of bounds again. There's two bunkers. There's the one that maybe it's just one bunker that just wraps around. The one thing that is nice about that posted sand green is the grass is pretty thick, and if you do put a good move on it and you do hit near the green, you are going to stick if you pinpoint accuracy drive your disc. So it does reward people who actually do attack it by collecting it. You just very rarely ever see somebody put it under the pin.
Right. And Dana doing the traditional play and just kind of bailing out left, giving himself an easy upshot. The thing about this easy upshot, though, is that basket has the hill right behind it, so it makes you want to run it. It makes you want to actually give a bid for the birdie, and it baits you in. If you miss that and you hit metal and you don't make it, it could very easily just roll right back in the bunker. So
right you are, Uli. Right you are. And this is not really what we call layup. No. Drew did the same thing yesterday and got the same result yesterday. We'll see if he can take his medicine today and lay up, because yesterday he tried to go for it and put it into the bunker. Man, he's really going for it with that high hyzer.
Yes. And Dana, see, giving it a bid.
Yep, that's a good run, just a little bit right. Didn't draw metal. You don't want to draw metal unless you're dead center.
And AJ actually does lay that up. And is Drew going to lay this up? He has to. He has to this time.
It looks like yes he did. Finally. Yeah, he learned from yesterday. Not the smartest play to go for a putt from that far. And that's kind of a tough spot there. You really want to save your par there if you're Dustin, but really you can't go for that putt from that distance.
Dana just cleaning up. Drew will clean up here, and this is a typical score for a card. 3, 3, 3, 4. Right.
You're gonna see I think there were. Oh yeah, he's pumped. I think there were 3 birdies on this hole yesterday, during this round. Look at AJ again. He's messing with the lead card, twisting the baskets around. Somebody needs to talk to that guy about that.
Yeah.
But there were only 3 birdies this round and only 1 the day before. So you can tell that was probably the hardest hole in the course to par. So overall, like you said, that's a pretty typical score that you're going to see 1 over for the card.
And this hole 17, it's tricky. This is one of the trickier holes, even though it looks very straightforward with it's just right there. But that right side out of bounds where the pond is, it really comes up fast. You want to do what Dana does right here, but that is going to be very good.
Yeah, he just checked up a bit shorter, but if you get the distance right, he threw it about 30 feet short, so he threw it about 340. If you get the distance right, you're playing with that water the entire way, and if you just happen to be 5 feet right of where you're trying to land, you're going in the water.
And these guys are just making it look easy. This is not that easy. Like I said, that water comes into play so fast, and a lot of people like the sidearm route over this left kind of creek here that really doesn't come into play, and then skipping it up towards the basket. But these guys are all going with the hyzer out over that water.
The bailout side is the left side of the pin where you see Drew going. There's a lot more land over there. The water doesn't quite cut in as close to the basket. So the hyzer play is nice, but you do have this tree right here off the tee that kind of blocks you from throwing the wide hyzer. So you see a lot of players, and this is a bit wider than I think Dustin wants here. Let's see if he can avoid OB. Oh wow.
Perfect.
Yeah, he's really getting close to the...
But this is exactly what we're saying. Watch where he lands. He lands 3 feet from the out of bounds.
Right.
So right there, that's a meter right, and he's out of bounds. So it really does come into play there. And
yeah, he catches the right side of that hill, and instead of the hyzer skip, he gets a counter skip into the water. And Drew gets a real aggressive run. That needs to sit down, and it does. He'll be able to tap in for his par. But, the sidearm play, the problem is if you are 5 feet right of your landing point at the end, you're in the water.
What a good putt by Dana there.
Yeah, solid stroke.
That's a headwind. That's not an easy putt. It's, circle's edge just inside, and just a solid putt from Dana.
Yeah. And AJ kind of needs this for a lot of reasons. And man, he is just not quite converting the way he was down round one.
And you can tell that one hurts. He let his emotions show there that he wanted that one, and it could have stayed. It looked like he hit a lot of chains. So
that was a pretty solid putt. And very nice birdie there from Dustin, playing that tee shot perfectly, trusting it out wide, and reaps the benefits of a really good solid birdie there.
Drew just tapping in, and hole 17 is now over.
One round left for these guys on hole 17. And now we're on to 18. Golly, this is the shortest hole in the course, but definitely one of the scariest. If not on the tee, then certainly on the putt if you don't park it. So many things can happen on this hole, and the introduction of the island on the right side and long really added an interesting dynamic to this hole. If you want to attack the green, you have to be pretty careful, because if you are a bit low and you hit these rocks, you're going in the drink.
And Dana playing, I think, the traditional route, which is a sidearm into the hillside, and he leaves himself about a 20-footer, and that's all you're looking for, really.
That's almost textbook execution right there. You want to be closer because you hate looking at that putt with that straight water behind, but really nicely thrown there. And Dustin following him, pretty much exactly the same. Again, that's just really, really nice execution on their part.
He's going to tell Dana thank you for the line.
Right.
And like I said, AJ's one of those straight shooters, man. He will take the straightest shot at the basket that he possibly can, and that's a really good shot.
Inbounds inside the circle. Can't ask for much more than that.
True, hanging it a little wide, but it's swinging in, and that's exactly what you want from a backhand player. You threw that with a lot of touch, and he's going to have a tap in for birdie.
Yep. A nice putt. That's a solid way to. You feel really good about ending your round that way. I mean, that's a putt that we are expected to make as pros, but there's really no way to really simulate the emotions that are feeling when you're looking at those mountains and that water behind the basket and making that putt like that. It's just a great feeling.
Even though it's only a 20-footer, you still feel a little nervous.
Absolutely, every time. If you don't, then maybe you're not doing the right thing anymore. I mean, I still feel like if you're not nervous, then you don't care enough. And AJ also finishing out with a solid stroke that's going to help alleviate some of the problems that he had throughout the round a bit, remedy some of those feelings, and so he can go to the clubhouse feeling a bit better. But Drew finishing up with a nice putt there, and I know he's probably not overall super pleased with his score, but in general, he avoided mistakes for the most part of the round, capitalizing on a lot of opportunities, and a 52 is a solid round at Mulligan's. Dustin salvaging a good score with 4 under, and so did Dana. And AJ, with a little bit of struggles, shot a 60, and he'll drop down a little bit. And you see here, Ricky's atop the leaderboard. Josh Anthon shooting course record 49 yesterday, jumped up to a tie for second place with myself. And Drew Gibson jumps onto lead card, tied with Paul Ulibarri. So it'll be an interesting last round, always will be. So there's going to be a lot of excitement, and should be set up for a beautiful round. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Really do appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the coverage. Thanks as always to Jomez. Thanks to the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.